Introduction: the revival of celestial deities in a love story set in a cosmic battlefield. Upon awakening, Wen Miao found herself transported to another realm. She had entered a cosmic world where celestial beings were reviving and malevolent entities roamed freely. In this universe, the entire populace placed their faith in divine beings to eradicate these evils. To her astonishment, Wen Miao realized that the deities venerated by the inhabitants were entirely unfamiliar to her. Where had the revered deities of our illustrious Huaxia gone? Fortunately, she was endowed with the Huaxia deity revival system right from the outset, enabling her to summon the divine beings of her homeland as formidable allies. During a crisis that threatened to annihilate a city, she invoked Nezha. The antagonist, pointing mockingly at Nezha, scoffed, "A mere unknown deity, prepare to meet your demise." In an instant, a crimson lotus bloomed, and Nezha's fiery spear struck the villain, delivering a fatal blow. Onlookers gasped in disbelief. This youth had pierced the mutated evil with a mere iron rod. Within the fallen temple, the prodigies all succumbed to the feat of the SS-level malevolent entity. Wen Miao stepped forward and summoned Sun Wukong. With a single swing of his golden staff and a leap on a somersault cloud, he sent the malevolent beings wailing, reminiscent of the legendary chaos he once wreaked in the heavenly realms. The prodigies were left in awe. Who was this monkey, so much mightier than the exalted deities they revered? As Wen Miao continued to summon more Huaxia deities, the entire cosmos began to acknowledge their significance. However, they soon noticed that all the Huaxia deities revolved around Wen Miao, particularly the Lotus Youth. Nezha grasped Wen Miao's wrist, a playful smile gracing his lips, exuding an aura of a divine slayer. "I heard from the Moon Elder that you fancy Yangjian, the one with 3 eyes?" Wen Miao retorted, "Unjust. I only admire the dog of Erlang Shen." Chapter 1. Nezha arrives. Help! The malevolent beings are about to invade. In the midst of chaos, Wen Miao opened her eyes to see a throng of people frantically fleeing, their cries echoing in the air. Above, numerous mechas unleashed blinding laser beams, seemingly resisting some unseen threat. What was happening? Wen Miao stood frozen, utterly bewildered. Just moments ago, she had been peacefully slumbering at home. How had she ended up here? While she pondered this, a strikingly handsome black-haired youth rushed towards her in a flurry. "Little sister, you have finally returned." The black-haired youth grasped Wen Miao's hand fervently, urging her, "Quickly, the altar in the city center has been prepared. You must ascend and beseech the deities to descend and drive away the malevolent beings outside." Wen Miao, perplexed, blurted, "What are altars and deities?" Why could she not comprehend anything? "Little sister, this is no jest. You are the sole individual from our Emerald City to gain entry into the Federal Divine Academy. The military has yet to arrive, and you alone possess the power to repel the malevolent beings outside the city." With that, the black-haired youth pulled Wen Miao towards a nearby altar. Just as she was about to resist, a sharp pain pierced her temple, and a surge of unfamiliar memories flooded her mind. Upon organizing her fragmented memories, Wen Miao finally comprehended that she had traversed into another realm, inhabiting the body of a girl who shared her name. This was a universe where deities were awakening, and malevolent entities roamed freely among the stars. In this world, certain individuals possessed the remarkable ability to awaken their spiritual powers from birth. Depending on the potency of their spiritual energy, each person could summon deities of varying ranks, harnessing their divine strength to vanquish these sinister beings and ensure the safety of the Federation. Such individuals were known as Divine Chosen. As Wen Miao concluded her reminiscence, her brother, Wen Shi, had already taken her to a circular altar. With a hopeful expression, he urged her, "Sister, all the offerings on the altar have been prepared. Hurry and summon a deity. Any one of the 9 great gods will suffice. I have faith in you." "Brother, please do not place your trust in me." Wen Miao lamented inwardly, feeling utterly despondent. The original soul was endowed with a formidable SS-grade spiritual power, but was incapable of awakening any deity, rendering her utterly useless. At that moment, a thunderous roar resounded from outside the city, reverberating like a tempest. Roar. Following the sound, Wen Miao beheld a sinister black-scaled serpent, a manifestation of the evil entities. The serpent coiled in the sky, unleashing torrents of black flames from its maw. Wen Miao's eyes widened in horror. The black flames incinerated the last layer of the pale green defense surrounding Emerald City. The city was breached. The black-scaled serpent surged into the city, its eerie red eyes greedily fixated on Wen Miao, who stood at the center of the altar. Sizzle, such a delectable human, she must be consumed. Human, why do you not submit to your demise? The serpent bellowed, its gaping maw descending upon Wen Miao with alarming speed, leaving no room for evasion. The lasers fired from the mechs merely grazed the serpent's scales, failing to inflict any damage. How frustrating it was physically immune. Witnessing this scene, Wen Miao fell into despair and grasped Wen Shi, fleeing in panic. The heat from the serpent's black flames intensified, drawing perilously close. Ah, please don't spray me. Help! Wen Miao cried out, her heart sinking in despair. She had only just arrived. Could she truly meet her end so soon? In this moment of crisis, a crisp electronic voice echoed within Wen Miao's mind. Ding! Unique Huaxia soul detected across the entire star system. Would the host like to bind with the Huaxia divine resurrection system? What is this? Wen Miao stood momentarily stunned, questioning her own senses. This is not a hallucination. The Huaxia divine resurrection system aims to restore the glory of Huaxia deities. Should the host choose to bind, they will receive a grand gift package of Huaxia deities at the outset. A spark of inspiration ignited in Wen Miao's mind, and she hastily inquired, will the summoned Huaxia deities be capable of driving away the malevolent entity pursuing me with flames? Indeed they can. Wen Miao's eyes gleamed with hope, and she quickly responded, bind me. Bind me. As long as she could survive, she was willing to accept anything. Binding the system. Congratulations, host. You have successfully bound the Huaxia Divine Resurrection System, which is here to serve you. Next, please draw from the Huaxia Divine Gift Pack. As the words faded, a translucent package materialized before Wen Miao, accompanied by a diminutive draw button beneath it. Wen Miao inhaled deeply, wiping her hands on her clothing to dispel any ill fortune before finally pressing the button. Divine extraction in progress. Wen Miao instinctively held her breath. In the vastness of Huaxia, were there not countless formidable deities? She firmly believed that even a random invocation would surely assist her in overcoming her tribulations. Of course, a stronger one would be even better. Detecting imminent danger to the host, the system has automatically activated the divine assistance mode. In the next moment, red. Everywhere she looked, it was red. An overwhelming sea of crimson flooded Wen Miao's world. A faint, ethereal fragrance of lotus wafted to her nostrils, seemingly capable of washing away all anxiety and instilling tranquility. From the crimson lotuses emerged a strikingly beautiful youth clad in red. The scent of lotus intensified. Behind the youth blazed a fierce fire, each step he took blossoming with lotuses as he approached Wen Miao. In the glow of the flames, Wen Miao beheld the youth's exquisite features. His raven hair was tied into twin buns with vibrant red silk, two strands cascading down beside his temples, entwined with gold and jade, exuding an air of solemnity and authority. A vivid red lotus pulsated at his brow, adding an ineffable divinity to his already enchanting visage. Wen Miao gasped in disbelief, her eyes wide with astonishment. In such attire, how could any Huaxia person fail to recognize him? It was none other than the great deity Nezha. To think that one day she would live to witness Nezha. Her luck was unprecedented. Unable to contain her excitement, Wen Miao instinctively exclaimed, "Great Nezha!" Perhaps her voice sounded overly joyful, for Nezha glanced up, briefly surveying the formidable black-scaled serpent behind her before returning his gaze to Wen Miao. He narrowed his eyes, scrutinizing her closely, finally discerning the one who had summoned him to this realm. Expecting a powerful being, he was surprised to find a mere mortal. She appeared frail, with delicate limbs that seemed incapable of withstanding even a single blow from him. Yet, such a weakling had managed to summon him from the heavenly court to this foreign world. Intrigued, Nezha raised an eyebrow and inquired, "So, you are the one who summoned me?" His voice retained its characteristic arrogance, tinged with a hint of pride. Wen Shi, panting from her exertions, turned to Wen Miao and said, "Sister, this divine being seems unfamiliar. He doesn't resemble any of the 9 great deities." When she was somewhat apprehensive, the formidable black-scaled serpent behind them posed a significant threat. If her sister had summoned an obscure and feeble deity, they might not stand a chance. Wen Miao, unaware of Wen Shi's concerns, was about to respond when the relentless black-scaled serpent finally caught up. When it first laid eyes on Nezha, it felt a surge of fear and instinctively took a step back. However, upon realizing that no such deity existed in its memory, it became audacious. remembering how it had been disregarded by Nezha and intimidated by the aura surrounding him. The black-scaled serpent seethed with indignation and roared, "What audacious little deity dares to ignore my presence? You seek your own demise." With a flick of its forked tongue, it lunged at Nezha, exclaiming, "Today, I shall indulge myself and feast upon you first." "Feast upon me?" Nezha retorted with a sardonic laugh, his waist adorned with a magical ribbon, the Hun Yuan Ling, suddenly unfurling. Chapter 2. The Clever Hun Yuan Ling. As the Hun Yuan Ling emerged, the winds over the entire Emerald City began to swirl ominously. Wen Miao's eyes sparkled with excitement as she gazed at the solitary bright red gleam on the horizon. "It has appeared, the legendary Hun Yuan Ling." "Ha ha ha." The black-scaled serpent, however, remained unfazed, laughing maniacally at the sight of the Hun Yuan Ling. "You amuse me, little deity, thinking you can confront me with a mere rag." A rag? Wen Miao could not help but twitch at the corner of her mouth. That was a treasure capable of both offense and defense, stirring storms and thunder. Confident in its abilities, the black-scaled serpent leapt into the air, opening its cavernous mouth wide, intending to shred the soft Hun Yuan Ling with its sharp, venomous fangs. Witnessing this scene, when she was nearly breathless with fear, he immediately grasped Wen Miao's hand and urgently said, "Sister, the deity you awakened is in danger. Quickly, command him to retreat." Among those present, aside from Nezha, Wen Miao appeared the most composed. "Brother, do not worry." She waved her hand dismissively, her gaze towards the black-scaled serpent filled with pity. "This serpent is unworthy to be Nezha's opponent." Nezha, renowned in Chinese mythology as the jade-faced god of death, was known for his lethal prowess. To provoke Nezha while dismissing the Hun Yuan Ling as mere cloth was to invite one's own downfall. When she, clearly skeptical, assumed Wen Miao was merely trying to reassure him. After all, among the 9 deities venerated by the interstellar populace, none bore the name Nezha. If he truly possessed the might Wen Miao suggested, how could no one be aware of him? Moreover, the youthful appearance of this divine figure implied that his strength was likely not exceptional. Wen Shi's brow was furrowed with worry. Meanwhile, the Hun Yuan Ling continued to extend in the air, transforming into a sweeping red light that surged toward the black-scaled serpent. In the blink of an eye, it ensnared the serpent from head to tail. The black-scaled serpent had no time to resist. How? Is this even possible? Ensnared by the red cloth it had so scorned, the black-scaled serpent felt an overwhelming rage, nearly spewing blood in frustration. It thrashed its robust body desperately, yet could not break free from the Hun Yuan Ling's grip. Instead, it became increasingly entangled. What kind of fabric is this, so remarkably resilient? The black-scaled serpent was filled with terror and bared its teeth, preparing to retaliate. The Hun Yuan ribbon acted with remarkable efficiency, swiftly striking twice to sever the 2 venomous fangs of the creature, subsequently sealing its gaping maw. Then, as if imbued with a spark of sentience, the Hun Yuan ribbon, adorned with the spoils of the black-scaled serpent, flew back to the feet of Nezha. The end of the crimson cloth fluttered playfully, swaying as if to seek praise from its master. Witnessing this, Wen Shi's mind went blank. What manner of deity had her sister summoned? Nezha, arms crossed and 1 foot planted atop the serpent's head, spoke mockingly. "A wretched creature akin to a mere insect, daring to threaten me? Woo-woo." The black-scaled serpent's mouth, obstructed by the Hun Yuan ribbon, could only emit a muffled whimper. It had come to realize that the red-clad youth before it was no ordinary adversary. It had misjudged. "Spare me, great deity." The serpent, capable of both submission and defiance, pleaded fervently, writhing at Nezha's feet, reduced to a pitiful state devoid of its earlier bravado. Nezha remained unmoved, extending his hand to conjure a sharp fire spear that materialized effortlessly. Without a moment's hesitation, he plunged it into the serpent's head, piercing it cleanly through. All present gaped in astonishment, rendered speechless. How could a creature that even mechanical rays could not vanquish be slain by a mere piece of crimson cloth and a long pole? "I have no time for your prattle," Nezha scoffed, hoisting the fire spear along with the black-scaled serpent onto his shoulder. The Hun Yuan ribbon, displaying its disdain, shook twice before joyfully returning to Nezha's side, wrapping itself around his shoulder, swaying in the wind. Every movement exuded an air of youthful vigor, showcasing the spirit of a young man brimming with confidence. Having dealt with the black-scaled serpent, Nezha turned to Wen Miao, his tone lifting with curiosity. "You are..." Wen Miao, coming back to her senses, exclaimed excitedly, "Great Nezha, I am your ardent admirer." I had the honor of summoning you from afar, and, before she could finish, Nezha had suddenly appeared before her in a flash. Verbose, he interrupted, for that was not the inquiry he intended. Standing before Wen Miao, Nezha leaned slightly forward, meeting her gaze. Yet, the proximity was disconcerting. Wen Miao's pupils constricted, momentarily entranced by the crimson lotus mark adorning Nezha's brow. With each breath he took, a faint, chilling scent of lotus wafted gently over her eyelashes, nose, and lips. It was undeniably a tranquil fragrance, yet when Miao found herself holding her breath. In her heart, she silently pondered, what is Nezha intending to do? Surely he isn't angry. Nezha lowered his gaze, his slender, heated fingers playfully twirling a strand of her hair, then releasing it to curiously inspect her attire. It appeared unremarkable. Yet, the more ordinary it seemed, the more peculiar it became. How intriguing, Nezha mused, his refined and handsome visage adorned with a hint of perplexity. How did a mere mortal like you summon me here? As Nezha spoke, the fragrance of lotus from Wen Miao's nose grew even more intense. Oh my! Wen Miao nervously swallowed, tilting her head back slightly, and replied, it must be the power of my faith combined with a touch of luck. To have drawn the illustrious Nezha from the myriad deities in the system's grand gift package. Wen Miao truly believed her fortune was remarkable. Is that so? Nezha observed her with a smirk, leaning in slightly, and scoffed. Then your faith must be quite formidable to have summoned me directly from the lotus pond of the heavenly court. Wen Miao was rendered speechless. She sensed a mocking undertone in Nezha's laughter, as if he could see through everything. Clearing her throat awkwardly, she was about to apologize when a thunderous bang echoed, sending dust swirling into the air. Wen Miao froze, gazing up at the red-clad youth before her. Suddenly, Nezha cast the enormous black-scaled serpent he had been carrying onto the ground, raising his chin as he declared, this foul creature is a gift for you. If you ever skip class again. His words abruptly halted. Nezha paused, his gaze drifting for a moment, arms crossed, and awkwardly rephrased. What I meant was, you can summon me with your faith whenever you wish. What? Wen Miao blinked, feeling as though she were in a dream. Did this mean he was tacitly allowing her to call upon him in the future? So, had she hitched her wagon to a star? Just then, a familiar electronic voice echoed in her ear. Ding! The time for Nezha's arrival in this realm is about to conclude. Countdown for combat assistance ending. 5, 4, 3. With a flick of his hand, Nezha's fiery spear vanished. Beneath the dark clouds, the young man radiated stunning beauty, draped in a crimson cloak, exuding an aura of majestic dominance. Many onlookers were left spellbound. Who would have thought that a figure of such lethal energy could also embody the purest essence of a lotus? The stark contrast was so striking that even Wen Miao couldn't help but steal a few more glances. As if recalling something, Nezha glanced at Wen Miao with a slight arch of his eyes and asked, what is your name? What? Wen Miao didn't quite catch his words. In the next moment, the system intoned one in advance. Nezha vanished. Yet, the scent of lotus lingered in the air. Wen Miao was still enveloped in a warm, intoxicating fragrance that left her somewhat dazed. Congratulations! You have permanently unlocked the deity Nezha. The host may now draw Nezha's divine artifacts. Huh? Draw Nezha's artifacts? Such fortune. Wen Miao was elated, eagerly clicking the draw button. Drawing divine artifact. Ding! Congratulations! The host has drawn Nezha's divine artifacts Hongtian Ling and Hua Jian, unlocking the right to use their ethereal forms. Hongtian Ling and Hua Jian. Wen Miao's breath quickened, her mind racing. What a tremendous gain! Thank you, Nezha. Thank you, system. Chapter 3. Promoting the divine essence of Huaxia. Starting with Nezha, how could the evil spawn perish so easily? Staring at the black-scaled serpent lying lifeless on the ground, with a bullet hole in its head, when she found himself utterly astonished, unable to regain his composure for an extended period. He had witnessed the event with clarity. That enigmatic young deity remained motionless, merely tossing a piece of ordinary red cloth, yet vanquished the malevolent being with overwhelming ease. The evil spawn had not even been afforded a chance to resist. The thought left Wen Shi's mind in a tumult, pondering the terrifying power that had just been displayed. Who exactly was the formidable figure his sister had summoned? In the city of Tsuyu, those who had narrowly escaped death fell to their knees in excitement, fervently proclaiming the divinity's manifestation. The pilots of the mechas emerged from their machines, their eyes ablaze, fixated on the spot where Nezha had once stood, their blood surging with exhilaration. The scene from moments ago lingered vividly in their minds. That divine presence was astonishing. The aura it exuded was nearly overwhelming, instilling within them an irresistible urge to bow in reverence. Curiously, why had no one in the Federation mentioned such a powerful deity before, to utter such a reverence? It felt as though this divine being surpassed even the fire cloud deity in might. The citizens of Tsiyu, having witnessed the entire spectacle, engaged in animated discussions. Their fervor palpable. The power of faith gradually began to coalesce. From this moment forth, none would forget the striking crimson that had graced their sight. Following the demise of the evil spawn, the dark clouds in the sky slowly dissipated, allowing radiant sunlight to bathe the earth and dispel the chill. The corpse of the black-scaled serpent was collectively transported to a nearby research facility for further examination. With Nezha's departure, an overwhelming sense of weakness suddenly engulfed Wen Miao's limbs. She stumbled slightly, nearly collapsing to the ground. A wave of dizziness washed over her, and her body felt unbearably unwell. Furrowing her brow, Wen Miao's complexion turned pale as she pressed her hand against her throbbing temples. Even though Nezha had not unleashed a grand move, merely employing the mixed celestial silk and the fire spear, it was still far too taxing for her currently frail condition. At that moment, standing became a formidable challenge for Wen Miao. Sister, when she, noticing her distress from the corner of his eye, quickly regained his focus and rushed to her side, offering his support with genuine concern. Are you all right, sister? I'll take you home for some restorative elixir. Wen Miao bit her lip, remaining silent, leaning her entire weight against him, with compassion etched on his features, when she scooped her up and prepared to return home. Wait. At that moment, a handsome young man clad in black military attire hurried towards them. The youth, tall and striking, gazed intently at the half-conscious Wen Miao, his eyes brimming with excitement. It was this very girl who had just summoned a powerful deity the likes of which the Federation had never witnessed. To the untrained eye, it was merely a spectacle. To those in the know, it was a monumental event. The sheer magnitude of divine power displayed was unmatched, even by the 9 divine lords. The young man's hands were tightly clasped together, as if restraining the tumult of emotions within him. The unprecedented spiritual red cloth, the oddly shaped long weapon, and the mysterious fragrance enveloping him stirred an array of thoughts in his mind, ultimately coalescing into a single question. Who is that deity? He was fervently eager to uncover the answer. When she halted in his tracks, casting a glance at the intricately adorned military attire of the handsome youth, his tone laden with disdain. Is the divine envoy of the military only just arriving? Are you here to collect the corpses of the people in Jade City? With that, when she shoved the young man aside, do not obstruct my way. I must take my sister home to rest. Wait a moment. Your sister summoned the deity's true form earlier, and her mental energy must be severely depleted. Merely relying on restorative potions will not suffice. It could take a month for her to return to normal. The young man spoke in a hurried breath, fearing that the girl before him would be whisked away by her brother. Her mental energy is far too drained, and her constitution is weak. She must rest in the mental energy recovery chamber for 2 days. Allow me to escort you both. When she was taken aback, the mental energy recovery chamber was the pinnacle of therapeutic methods in the Federation, capable of mending all damages and sequelae stemming from mental exertion. Regrettably, the remote location of Jade City rendered such resources inaccessible to ordinary individuals. If they could facilitate Wen Miao's recovery in the chamber, it would undoubtedly be for the best. When she cautiously inquired, "What do you require in return?" "No conditions." The young man shook his head, elaborating, "I am Jiangyu, an intern from the Academy of the Divine dispatched by the 1st Military Division to eradicate the mutated evil species in Jade City. Unfortunately, I encountered some unforeseen circumstances on the way and arrived a bit late. Thankfully, had it not been for her timely intervention today, the entire Jade City would have been tainted by the evil species, an unimaginable catastrophe." Jiangyu asserted earnestly, "She salvaged my internship assessment losses, hence there are no conditions." When she scrutinized Jiangyu's expression with skepticism, but seeing the sincerity in his demeanor, he ultimately acquiesced. "Then I shall trouble you." "Not at all, not at all," Jiangyu replied with a smile, his gaze shifting downward, fixating intently on Wen Miao. Upon her awakening, he would undoubtedly inquire about the identity of that deity who stood upon the lotus flower. If feasible, the emergence of that divine being might very well shatter the millennia-long coexistence of the 9 great deities, potentially giving rise to a 10th. Beep. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 156,991 belief values in the Huaxia deities. Belief level upgraded to level 1. Host name, Wen Miao. Mental energy, level, constitution, level, unlocked divine artifact illusion, mysterious celestial silk. Fire Lance, Huaxia Deity Belief Level. Level 1, Pinning Upgrade. Belief Level 1 permits permanent unlocking of battle assistance function. The time for the next deity summoning will be extended. System Warm Reminder. Upon upgrading the host's belief level to level 2, a second Huaxia Deity gift pack can be drawn. Wen Miao lay within the mental energy recovery chamber, her eyes tightly shut, yet her mind remained lucid. Upon hearing the system announce that the time for summoning Nezha had lengthened, Wen Miao's face radiated with joy. How delightful! The original owner was a mere waste unable to awaken a deity, having endured a year of ridicule at the Federal Divine Academy. However, with the advent of the system, none of that mattered. The prospect of awakening a deity from her ancestral homeland of China eclipsed any lingering memories of unfamiliar divine figures in the original owner's consciousness. The sense of security bestowed by the Chinese deities was paramount. Moreover, the first divine gift package had activated the remarkable deity Nezha. Wen Miao could hardly fathom what extraordinary deities the subsequent divine gift packages might unveil. A surge of excitement coursed through her, and she inquired within her mind, "System, how can I elevate my faith level?" By garnering recognition for the Chinese deities from more individuals, the faith level will ascend rapidly. Wen Miao comprehended instantly. Currently, she had only unlocked Nezha as a deity. To swiftly advance to level 2, she needed to make more citizens of the Federation aware of Nezha. Just as had happened today, the substantial faith points, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, must have been contributed by the people of Tsiyu City. The thought of Nezha brought forth memories of a refreshing lotus fragrance. The lingering essence still clung to her hair, and her garments bore traces of it as well. Wen Miao playfully traced her fingers along the sleeve of her attire, feeling the dampness, cool to the touch, evoking images of droplets cascading from lotus petals. Hadn't Nezha mentioned arriving from a lotus pond? Chapter 4. Is the Great Sage equal to Heaven the Wild God? The therapeutic effects of the mental restoration pod were extraordinary. Upon awakening, all sensations of soreness and fatigue vanished, leaving Wen Miao enveloped in unprecedented comfort. She relaxed her body and let out a sigh. "Sister, thank the heavens. You have finally awakened." When she and Jiang Yu had been attentively monitoring Wen Miao, hearing the commotion, Jiang Yu promptly summoned a doctor from outside to examine her. After a meticulous assessment, the doctor adjusted his glasses perched on his nose and declared, "Her mental energy has nearly fully recovered. She may be discharged." With that, the doctor left behind some supplementary potions for mental restoration and exited the room. In the ward, when she thoughtfully brought a cup of warm water and inquired with concern, "Miao Miao, do you feel better now?" When Miao took a sip of water, her voice hoarse, "Brother, there's no need to worry. I am all right." "As long as you're all right." When she's tense, handsome face softened. Seeing Wen Miao faint in his arms had nearly sent him into a panic. As an ordinary person, he had no idea that summoning deities could be so perilous. I told you she'd be fine. Her mental fortitude is strong. If only her physical constitution could improve as well. Standing beside the restoration pod, Jiang Yu eagerly leaned in, gazing at Wen Miao with excitement. "By the way, I'm Jiang Yu. What is your name?" Quite the extrovert, indeed. Wen Miao, taken aback, glanced at Wen Shi, silently asking, "Who is this person?" with a light cough. When she recounted the background of Jiang Yu, upon hearing that Jiang Yu was affiliated with the 1st Military Division, Wen Miao raised her eyebrows in surprise. According to the original owner's memories, the 1st Military Division was synonymous with strength, comprising individuals who had awakened the powers of advanced deities, the elite among elites. Simultaneously, they represented a realm to which she could never aspire. How could this seemingly carefree man possess such formidable strength? However, Jiang Yu shook his head repeatedly, correcting her. No. I am merely interning at the 1st Military Division. Whether I can stay is still uncertain." Despite this, the fact that he had the opportunity to intern there indicated that Jiang Yu's capabilities were surely impressive. Wen Miao maintained her composure and introduced herself. "I am Wen Miao." The name seemed somewhat familiar to Jiang Yu, as if he had heard it somewhere before. His eyes flickered with curiosity as he stroked his chin in contemplation. After long deliberation, he could not recall and decided to abandon the thought. It was time to inquire about something of greater significance. Remembering the young deity who stood upon a lotus, Jiang Yu's gaze turned fervent. He grasped Wen Miao's shoulders, his voice quivering with excitement. "Wen Miao, may I ask what the name of the deity you summoned previously is?" She had only summoned one deity before. Wen Miao paused, then replied calmly. "He is a deity of Huaxia, the great deity Nezha of the 3 altars and the Sea Assembly." Currently, her belief in Huaxia deities was at level 1. To swiftly advance to level 2 and unlock the 2nd divine gift package, she needed to gain recognition for Huaxia deities among the interstellar populace. Promoting Huaxia deities would begin with Nezha. Jiang Yu blinked, confusion and bewilderment dancing in his eyes. Nezha? Who might this deity be? The title sounded imposing, yet he had never heard of him. Could he be an obscure local deity? With this thought, Jiang Yu retrieved the most comprehensive electronic tome of deities from his light brain and began to search meticulously from the beginning. Nezha. Nothing. Jiang Yu flipped to the last page of the deity catalog, utterly perplexed. This tome documented all deities of every stature throughout the interstellar realm. Even the weakest deities should have their names recorded. Yet, this great deity of the three altars and sea assembly had no name to be found. Jiang Yu's expression turned troubled as a conjecture surfaced in his mind. The Nezha that Wen Miao believed in could not possibly be a wild deity, could he? Wild deities referred to the lowest-tier deities, even weaker than minor gods, whom the Federation citizens looked down upon for their utter feebleness. Some of these deities still retained their primitive beast forms, unable to protect themselves and often becoming prey for powerful evil creatures. However, Jiang Yu distinctly remembered Nezha possessing formidable divine power, having vanquished a mutated evil creature with nothing but an iron rod. His overwhelming aura was more audacious than the legendary 9 great lords. It was inconceivable that he could be a weak wild deity. What on earth was going on? Jiang Yu's fingers stiffly grasped the holographic device, her hair disheveled by the wind. Have you heard of Nezha? Wen Miao inquired tentatively, her heart still holding onto a glimmer of hope. Perhaps the interstellar world also harbored the divine beings of Huaxia, albeit obscure ones. Those in the military were well-versed. They might just recognize them. Facing Wen Miao's expectant gaze, Jiang Yu awkwardly cleared her throat and replied delicately, I must admit my ignorance. I have not heard of him. She hesitated to mention that the deity Wen Miao revered might merely be a minor spirit. What about the great sage, equal to heaven, Sun Wukong? Wen Miao pressed on, her tone bursting with pride. He is the champion of Flower Fruit Mountain. Jiang Yu's eyes widened in disbelief. The great sage, equal to heaven. Goodness. The titles of these local deities are increasingly grandiose, even more so than those of the 9 great gods. How audacious. Jiang Yu nearly choked on her words, her lips twitching. No, Flower Fruit Mountain is merely a mountain. The deity there should be a minor spirit. Wen Miao sighed in disappointment. It seemed unnecessary to inquire further whether Jiang Yu knew of Erlang Shen or Zhu Beiji. Clearly, this world lacked the illustrious deities of Huaxia. Yet, in such a perilous realm overrun by malevolent forces, how could the vibrant essence of Huaxia's divine beings be absent? Minor spirits. Wen Miao's eyes dimmed as she clenched her fists. With the memories of the original owner, she understood all too well what a minor spirit entailed. It was unacceptable. Such a formidable existence as the great sage was regarded as merely a minor spirit in the eyes of the interstellar beings. Absurd. As the only one capable of summoning Huaxia's deities, she was determined to restore their glory in the interstellar world. At that moment, Jiang Yu's holographic device chimed. Commander, the mutated aberration has been eliminated. We are currently conducting dissections. It wasn't me who killed it, understood. Jiang Yu ended the call and turned to Wen Miao with eager eyes. I still have tasks to attend to. Shall we exchange contact information? We can keep in touch later. Jiang Yu had not yet abandoned her curiosity about Nezha's powers. He suspected that the deity named Nezha might be an undiscovered new god. Wen Miao pondered for a moment before agreeing, retrieving the original owner's holographic device. The two exchanged contact information, and Jiang Yu left the hospital with a cheerful demeanor. However, on the way back, Jiang Yu suddenly halted, frozen in place. The name Wen Miao struck a chord in his memory. Wasn't she the infamous failure from the Federal Divine Academy? After a year of enrollment, she was unable to awaken even a low-tier deity. What a joke. Recalling the enigmatic Nezha, Jiang Yu swallowed hard. This was no failure. It appeared that the upcoming entrance examination would be quite the spectacle. Chapter 5, Ding. The Nezha you bound has requested a forced descent. After bidding farewell to Jiang Yu, Wen Miao emerged from the mental restoration chamber and transferred to a standard hospital room. Wen Shi's brow furrowed with concern as he inquired, Miao, during your time at the Federal Divine Academy, did you encounter any perilous evil entities like the black-scaled serpent? Not at all, Wen Miao replied, shaking her head obediently as she lay on the bed. Although the original owner had awakened the most exceptional mental prowess in the entire star system, upon entering the Federal Divine Academy as an adult, she had tragically fallen from genius to failure due to her inability to awaken any deity. To avoid disappointing her only brother, she had concealed this matter from Wen Shi. Thus, he remained unaware that she had been ineligible to participate in practical examinations since her entry into the academy. Without practical experience, There were no evil entities, and consequently, no danger. However, Wen Miao's reassurance did little to alleviate Wen Shi's worries. After a moment of hesitation, he contemplated suggesting that she withdraw from her studies. In his heart, nothing was more paramount than his sister's safety. Yet, recalling the exhilaration on Wen Miao's face when she summoned a deity, he knew she would be reluctant to quit. Sighing silently, he swallowed his words about her potential withdrawal. "Miao Miao, please rest for a while. I will go fetch you something to eat," Wen Shi said tenderly, tucking the blanket around her before stepping out of the room. The door closed with a decisive thud. In the next moment, Wen Miao's light brain erupted with a series of incessant notification chimes, ringing incessantly and becoming quite bothersome. Frowning, she picked up her light brain and discovered it was the class group from the Federal Divine Academy. The messages displayed on the screen caught her eye. "Hey, do you think Wen Miao will show up for the entrance exam in 3 days? After a whole year of enrollment, she hasn't awakened even a single low-tier deity. What a waste. If I were her, I would be too ashamed to show my face. She is truly a disgrace to our Federal Divine Academy." Exactly. Such a waste of her high-level mental power. If only I could transfer all her mental strength to myself. I heard from the officials that a powerful mutated evil entity has recently appeared in Jade City, where Wen Miao resides. May the deities protect us. I hope something happens to Wen Miao. Hope something happens. 10,086. How splendid. If something happens to Wen Miao and she doesn't attend, the Federal Divine Academy will surely expel her, and we can rid ourselves of this disgrace. Watching these individuals openly curse her in the class group, Wen Miao couldn't help but smirk derisively. How audacious of them to disregard her entirely, showing no concern for being caught in their disparagement. Clutching her light brain, she swiftly typed a response. "Thank you for the invitation. I have awakened a deity and will indeed participate in the entrance examination in 3 days." Wen Miao's silence was one thing, but upon making her declaration, the class group erupted in chaos. "What the hell? Wen Miao, you're still alive? You've awakened a deity? Which one? You must be joking, right? What kind of high-level deity can she awaken? I recall that the 9 great deities have never responded to her prayers. Indeed, even if Wen Miao participates in the entrance examination, it's likely a futile endeavor." Wen Miao merely scoffed, disregarding their words as she shut her light brain and set it aside. Humph, who cares about the response of the 9 great deities? Behind her stands the entirety of the deities of Huaxia. In her heart, the deities of Huaxia are undoubtedly no less formidable than the 9 great deities. Furthermore, her first guardian deity is the great god Nezha of the 3 altars, a renowned figure of formidable prowess in the heavenly court. At that moment, a familiar electronic voice resonated in Wen Miao's ears. "Ding, the Nezha you have bound has requested a forced descent." Wen Miao? Wait, this thing can even enforce a descent. Why didn't the system mention this sooner? Just say Nezha, and he arrives. In the next instant, a graceful young lad clad in red appeared by her bedside. He held a partially bloomed crimson lotus in his hand, his black hair elegantly styled into 2 buns, with 2 strands framing his face, exuding an aura of ethereal beauty. The scarlet mixed celestial silk wrapped around his arms, fluttering in the breeze, accentuating his exquisite bone structure. A deity, indeed, had descended. Wen Miao's eyes widened, speechless. "In Nezha?" Nezha lifted his gaze, non-committal. His appearance was strikingly handsome, with a hint of ferocity at the corners of his eyes, emanating an air of nobility that was both intimidating and exquisite. Wen Miao averted her gaze, nervously swallowing. "Great Nezha, have you come to convey some instructions?" The forced descent had nearly frightened the life out of her. Then, she heard Nezha say, "Oh, I hadn't finished the question I posed earlier. I dislike holding things back. So I came, just to ask one question." Wen Miao was momentarily speechless. Nezha was indeed quite direct. He glanced at the sickbed, a barely perceptible frown creasing his brow. "Are you unwell?" "Not really." Wen Miao shook her head. "And I am already better." Nezha remained silent, extending 2 fingers to press against Wen Miao's brow. The power of a deity was ineffable. With a mere thought, Nezha discerned the state of her health. Her constitution was too weak. No wonder during the last summoning, he could only utilize the mixed celestial silk and the fire-tipped spear. Unable to employ the universe circle or the wind and fire wheels, it was evidently her limitations that had hindered him. Nezha retracted his hand, lightly clicking his tongue. That was hardly satisfying. Wen Miao's lips twitched. "I'm truly sorry for being so weak." Her spiritual power was predetermined, once awakened. It could not be enhanced further. Fortunately, her physical constitution could be improved through diligence. If she could elevate her physical condition by a few levels, then during the next summoning, Nezha would not be constrained by her limitations and would be able to unleash his full prowess. "I will strive to enhance my constitution, so as not to hold you back," Wen Miao earnestly declared. Nezha deliberately wore a stern expression and huffed. Who cares about that? Besides, his hind legs are not so easily dragged. He stepped closer to Wen Miao, his ink-like eyes fixed on her, his voice imbued with youthful bravado. What is your name? At last, Nezha managed to articulate what he had wanted to ask. Wen Miao, she replied candidly. It was merely a name. She had no intention of concealing it from Nezha. Nezha crossed his arms, savoring the sound of the two syllables. All right, I shall remember it. Huh, remember what? Before Wen Miao could react, Nezha tossed a lotus flower into her arms. I feel as if I shall soon return to the heavenly realm. You must take good care of this lotus. No sooner had he spoken than his form transformed into a brilliant red light, surging toward the lotus in Wen Miao's embrace. The lotus quivered, and then Wen Miao heard it speak, its tone somewhat awkward. I do not wish to return to the heavenly realm to see Li Jing just yet. I shall stay with you for a couple of days. Wen Miao? In her mind, she called out to the system. Hey, are you there? Can I get some reaction here? Nezha seemed to sense her thoughts and replied with a smirk. This lotus carries the essence of the heavenly realm by residing within it. I am, in a sense, returning home. Wen Miao's eyelids twitched. Wait, can one truly evade the system's regulations this way? Nezha, you are a genius. Chapter 6. The Deities' Tenderness in Nezha? Have you truly transformed into a lotus? Wen Miao stared in bewilderment, cradling the red lotus in her hands, momentarily at a loss. The grand deity of the three altars and sea assembly was now nestled in her palms. Wasn't that somewhat inappropriate? As when she entered, he was greeted by the sight of his younger sister, her hands awkwardly holding the lotus, her expression a mix of confusion and incredulity. Miao Miao, what is the matter? He approached her, reaching for the lotus in her grasp. Wen Miao jolted, quickly withdrawing. No. Brother, your hands are too rough. I shall place it myself. Do not offend Nezha. Glancing around, unable to find a clean spot, Wen Miao added, I cannot free my hands. Could you please fetch me a bowl of clear water? How could the lotus, Nezha, be carelessly placed on the table? It deserved to be in water. When she, though puzzled, he complied with Wen Miao's request and brought her a bowl of pristine water. Watching her delicately place the crimson lotus into the bowl filled with clear water, he could not help but ask, Miao Miao, where did this red lotus come from? Why are you being so cautious? How could I not be careful? Wen Miao thought frantically. This is Nezha, after all. Anyone would be cautious, fearing that her words might alarm Wensi. Wen Miao chose not to respond directly and instead shifted the conversation. Brother, what is it that you hold in your hand? Wensi, not pursuing the topic further, followed her lead and replied, Tomorrow you return to school, so I have purchased 10 potions for spiritual restoration for you. As he spoke, he handed her the spatial button. Summoning deities is quite taxing on one's spiritual energy. Should these potions run out, you need not worry about the cost, for our family is well off. Wen Miao felt a stirring in her heart as she accepted the spatial button. The restorative potions are quite precious. The original owner's family had limited funds, yet Wensi scrimped and saved for her tuition, willing to forego anything for her sake. Looking up into Wensi's gentle gaze, she felt a pang of bittersweet emotion. Thank you, brother. Wensi smiled softly, tenderly ruffling her hair. Take good care of yourself at the Divine Academy, and don't let your brother worry. Wen Miao nodded firmly, a surge of determination rising within her. She resolved to work diligently to earn money. A powerful diviner not only garners admiration, but also amasses wealth. She would not let her brother down and would ensure he enjoyed a good life. The siblings chatted for a while longer. That evening, Wen Miao offered a prayer to Honglian and took the opportunity to purchase her ticket for the journey back to the Federal Divine Academy the next day. The academy is located on the main star, while the Cold Frost Star, where Emerald City is situated, lies far away. She must depart ahead of time. A night devoid of dreams ensued. Little did Wen Miao know, after she fell asleep, Nezha from within Honglian suddenly appeared, leaning against the window. He raised an eyebrow and curiously surveyed the unfamiliar surroundings. This was a peculiar and strange world, unlike Shichi and even more different from the heavenly court. Nezha turned his head, his gaze landing on Wen Miao's somewhat pale face, and casually picked up a peach from the table, taking a bite. Ouch, how sour. He grimaced, turning away to spit out the fruit. The fruits here were unlike those in the heavenly court. They lacked juiciness and sweetness. If that monkey were here, he would surely detest it. If only I could give it to Li Jing, Nezha pondered whimsically, squeezing the sour peach in his hand while infusing it with a bit of divine energy. He then tossed the pit into the ground outside the hospital, allowing it to sprout freely. May it grow into a sweet fruit tree in the coming year. After discarding the peach pit, Nezha turned his attention back to Wen Miao, his fingers brushing against her brow. A surge of divine energy emerged, quietly nurturing the young girl's constitution. Before long, her pallor improved significantly. Only then did Nezha retract his hand and vanish back into Honglian, everything falling into a serene silence. The following morning, Wen Miao bid farewell to Wenxi and boarded the starship, setting off for the Federal Divine Academy located on the main star. 3 days later, the starship reached its destination. As Wen Miao disembarked, she cradled the water bowl containing Honglian, her gaze fixed in awe upon the majestic sight before her, 9 towering statues of deities reaching towards the heavens. As the mechs soared through the sky, they would deliberately lower their altitude as a sign of respect. The 9 statues, grand and imposing, signified their extraordinary status. Through the memories of the previous host, Wen Miao became aware that these 9 statues represented the 9 esteemed deities of the interstellar realm. They certainly appeared formidable. While Wen Miao marveled at this, the crimson lotus in her grasp spoke. "Are you truly intending to engage in battle here?" It was the voice of Nezha, brimming with eagerness. Wen Miao replied, "I have already stated that this is an entrance examination. One could indeed interpret it that way." Holding the crimson lotus, Wen Miao's lips twitched slightly. "In the end, I shall still rely on the great Nezha." Upon hearing a barely audible hum from the lotus, its red petals unfurled gracefully in the breeze, indicating agreement. With her heart slightly steadied, Wen Miao followed the memories of her predecessor to the Federal Divine Academy. At this moment, the entrance of the academy was already bustling with people, all gathered for the entrance examination. Only those who successfully passed this examination could remain in the academy. As Wen Miao surveyed her surroundings, she recognized many familiar faces among the crowd, those who had once bullied her predecessor. Spotting Wen Miao, they whispered among themselves, "Look, Wen Miao actually came. The entrance examination is so perilous. How could she have the audacity to participate? I suspect she is here to withdraw from her studies. Could it be that she has truly awakened a powerful deity?" Under the scrutiny of the crowd, Wen Miao walked straight to the registration desk. "Excuse me, I wish to register for the entrance examination," she stated. The teacher in charge of the examination was taken aback, glancing at the plainly dressed girl before him. He recognized Wen Miao, the sole individual in the entire Federal Divine Academy who could not awaken a deity, a veritable failure. Such a person attempting to take the entrance examination was undoubtedly doomed. Was she out of her mind? The teacher thus cautioned. Participation in the entrance examination requires the awakening of a deity. The implication was clear. This was not a place for her. Clutching the crimson lotus, Wen Miao replied calmly, "I have awakened a deity. You truly have awakened one." The teacher questioned skeptically, "Which deity?" Wen Miao lifted her head, standing tall, and declared emphatically, "The great deity Nezha of the 3 altars." Upon hearing this proclamation, the room fell silent. Moments later, Wen Miao was met with a cacophony of derisive laughter. "This is hilarious. I thought this failure, Wen Miao, could awaken some powerful deity, but it turns out she has merely a worthless wild god like herself. No way. Does she really think that simply awakening a wild god will allow her to pass the entrance examination? What a thick skin. If I were Wen Miao, I would have withdrawn long ago. It's utterly embarrassing. I bet she won't pass the examination." Everyone present was well versed in the interstellar divine annals, and in their minds, Nezha did not exist. This was knowledge only understood by those from Huaxia, carrying profound significance. Facing the scornful and disdainful gazes surrounding her, Wen Miao chuckled to herself, discreetly noting the names of those who had mocked her the most. "Wen Miao, you have awakened a feeble wild god. It is unlikely that it can offer you any protection." The teacher felt a tinge of disappointment. The entrance examination posed considerable danger and inherent risks. Yet, despite this, do you still wish to participate in the examination? Chapter 7. The Fiery Abyss of Evil. I am certain. Wen Miao tightened her grip on the scarlet lotus, her gaze resolute. Now equipped with the divine artifact's illusion and the ability to summon the mighty Nezha, what was there to fear? Today, she would demonstrate the formidable prowess of the deities of Huaxia. Very well. Observing Wen Miao's unwavering determination, the teacher refrained from further persuasion, instead surveying the surroundings and announcing, "Since everyone is present, let us proceed." With that, the teacher guided the group into the examination room composed of data, where numerous assessment pods awaited them. Wen Miao reclined into one of the pods. "Is everyone prepared?" The teacher's expression turned serious as he pressed the metal button on the podium. "Then, let the examination commence." No sooner had the words left his lips than a translucent screen materialized before Wen Miao. "Loading mental and physical data. Please hold." Loading complete. Welcome candidate Wen Miao to the internal instance of the Federal Academy of Deities. This examination is an entrance exam. The system is currently randomizing the examination venue. Venue composition complete. Welcome candidate to examination room number 2, the fiery abyss of evil. Candidates must awaken their divine powers upon hearing the beep. Premature awakening will be deemed a violation. The difficulty level of this instance is set. We wish you success in your entrance examination. Countdown. 3, 2, 1. A whirlwind of sensations engulfed her. Wen Miao felt an intense sensation of free fall. Suddenly, her body thudded onto the ground. Before she could open her eyes, a wave of scorching heat assaulted her. It's so hot. Sweat trickled down her back, soaking her clothes. Is this the examination venue? Clutching the unscathed scarlet lotus, Wen Miao struggled to open her eyes and surveyed her surroundings. The once golden-lit examination hall had vanished, replaced by a deep crimson sky overhead and an endless expanse of red sand beneath her feet. The atmosphere was stifling, arid, oppressive, and fraught with peril. Wen Miao dared not be complacent. She instantly shifted into a state of vigilance, keenly observing her surroundings. A salty, briny wind blew in from the west, carrying the scent of the ocean. Greetings, candidate. This entrance examination employs a point system. Please strive to hunt the evil entities dispersed throughout the examination venue. Beep. The entrance examination officially begins. All candidates, please be prepared to awaken your divine powers. The examination had commenced. Without a moment's hesitation, Wen Miao promptly tapped the artifact extraction button on the system panel. The time to summon Nezha for assistance was limited, and the subsequent challenges of the examination remained uncertain. Thus, Wen Miao wished to reserve this trump card for later. Whoosh! In the next instant, the mysterious heaven silk appeared. With a delighted expression, Wen Miao grasped the Hunyuan Ling and, emulating Nezha's movements, draped it over her shoulders. The Hunyuan Ling, indeed a formidable weapon of Nezha, effortlessly dispersed the heat enveloping her, as if it were imbued with a protective barrier. A refreshing breeze, fragrant with the scent of lotus, enveloped her. It felt exhilarating, akin to stepping into an air-conditioned room on a sweltering summer day and savoring an icy cold cola. Wen Miao exhaled a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a flash of golden light erupted, and the fire-tipped spear materialized in her palm, its tip ablaze with fierce flames, poised for action. With both the Hunyuan Ling and the fire-tipped spear at her disposal, an unparalleled power surged through her being. Everything was set. Wen Miao rubbed her hands together, eager to embark on a grand adventure. Nezha, I am about to vanquish the evil entities. I can hardly spare a hand. So I shall place you atop my head for now, she declared, carefully positioning the crimson lotus she held atop her crown. Silently pondering, placing a deity upon one's head surely cannot be deemed disrespectful. The petals of the lotus trembled, and a radiant red light burst forth as the base of the flower firmly anchored itself upon Wen Miao's head. She then heard Nezha's voice. Now that you possess my Hunyuan Ling and fire-tipped spear, do not disgrace me. Pierce through this place. To penetrate the examination venue? Wen Miao swallowed hard. How audacious, yet it was indeed something Nezha would say. I shall do my utmost. Gripping the fire-tipped spear, her body felt weightless, buoyed by the Hunyuan Ling draping over her arms. With a gentle leap, she could soar into the heavens. How remarkable! Participating in a dungeon for the first time, Wen Miao was brimming with excitement, her eyes sparkling. At that moment, she noticed a red scorpion on the ground. Swiftly, she swung the Hunyuan Ling, ensnaring the creature. Though the Hunyuan Ling lacked offensive power, the fire-tipped spear was more than capable. With a flash of inspiration, she adeptly dragged the scorpion towards the fire-tipped spear, executing the motion seamlessly. With a sharp thrust, blood spurted forth. The red scorpion instantly transformed into a stream of data, flowing toward Wen Miao's body. 1 Miao points. 10. In the blink of an eye, within merely 3 seconds, 10 points had been acquired. What a delightful experience. Having the backing of a deity from Huaxia truly felt exceptional. Stroking her chin, a bold thought surged within her. At this rate, penetrating the examination venue may not be an impossibility. Meanwhile, outside the simulated examination hall, 20 invigilators were intently focused on a colossal monitor. The surveillance footage revealed all candidates awakening their divine powers, whether it be stormy winds and thunder or rampant vines and flames. The screen was awash with a dazzling array of divine might, leaving onlookers in awe. The leaderboard was in a frenzy of updates, the names changing so rapidly that they became a blur. However, the first place remained firmly unchanged, Su Nan. He is undeniably the strongest contender in this academic examination. In the surveillance footage, Su Nan appeared composed, enveloped in a blaze of orange divine fire, which coalesced into countless arrows. Wherever the flames traversed, all malevolent entities perished at his hands. His score continued to rise. Observing this scene, the chief proctor nodded repeatedly. affirming that Su Nan was indeed the top candidate of this examination. Even before the test concluded, the verdict had been reached, reflecting his profound satisfaction. Undoubtedly, Su Nan not only possessed formidable mental prowess, but had also awakened the fire cloud deity among the 9 divine lords, wielding the divine flames with unparalleled finesse. Truly, he is a source of pride for our Federal Divine Academy. The teachers extolled his virtues. At that moment, the door to the proctoring room was pushed open. Who could it be? The teachers within the room were momentarily startled, all eyes turning toward the entrance. A middle-aged man clad in dark military attire strode in with a serious demeanor. Following him was a handsome young man with black hair, none other than Jiang Yu. Commander Jiang, what brings you here? Upon seeing the middle-aged man, all the teachers rose respectfully, bowing to him with reverence. The military has a special mission in a few days, and I have come to your academy to select some reserve talents. So that's the case. This is indeed a commendable opportunity for the academy. The chief proctor felt a surge of joy and promptly enlarged the surveillance image of Su Nan, saying, Commander, what do you think of this candidate? Jiang Ling's gaze shifted to the footage of Su Nan, nodding in approval. Indeed, he is impressive, and with the awakening of the fire cloud deity, his strength is exceptional. Perhaps he should be given special training. Meanwhile, as Jiang Yu entered the proctoring room, his eyes uncontrollably fixated on the surveillance screen, rapidly searching for Wen Miao's figure. Oh my! Jiang Yu suddenly exclaimed. Jiang Yu? Commander Jiang Ling turned to his son, frowning. What are you shouting about? Jiang Yu's eyes widened as he pointed to the far corner of the surveillance footage. Commander, look! In the footage, a crimson cloud enveloped the sky. Beneath the red cloud stood Wen Miao. Chapter 8. Let us go and make a scene. In the examination hall, Wen Miao, adorned with a red lotus atop her head, leisurely divided the ethereal strands of the mixed celestial silk entwined around her arms into 2 segments. One segment playfully swayed back and forth. Before long, it adeptly contorted into the shape of a reclining chair, floating above the ground, inviting Wen Miao to recline upon it. Wen Miao could not help but twitch her lips. The proficiency displayed by the celestial silk suggested that Nezha had spent considerable time lounging about. Indeed, in the next moment, the lotus above her head spoke. Just sit. The voice emanating from above, imbued with youthful exuberance, unmistakably belonged to Nezha. Although Nezha remained unseen, Wen Miao seemed to envision the youthful figure, arms crossed and chin held high, brimming with confidence. Thank you. Wen Miao expressed her gratitude somewhat dryly, obediently settling into the reclined chair made of the merging heaven silk. Nezha scoffed, all talk of empty formalities. As soon as she sat down, the merging heaven silk unfurled a section of crimson fabric, thoughtfully fanning her with a gentle breeze. Above, another segment of the merging heaven silk expanded, transforming into a colossal red cloud that ominously loomed over the sky. The light within the examination hall dramatically dimmed. Enjoying the cool air, Wen Miao called out loudly. Go for it, merging heaven silk. Nezha and I have faith in you. The segment of merging heaven silk above seemed invigorated, abruptly plunging toward the ground with the swiftness of lightning. Like a radar, the merging heaven silk precisely swept away all visible malevolent entities from the earth, wrapping them into a round mass. It then hurled these wicked beings towards the fire-tipped spear in Wen Miao's grasp, executing the motion with effortless grace. A cacophony of explosive sounds erupted in her ears, as countless points surged into her being. Simultaneously, notifications flashed. Wen Miao points 200, Wen Miao points 400, Wen Miao points 500, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wen Miao counted the malevolent entities strung together on the fire-tipped spear, her vision blurring. There were so many that she could hardly keep track. Although this strategy was her own conception, she had not anticipated the merging heaven silk's reliability. It was astonishing, with points accumulating in hundreds. This method is commendable. Yet still too slow, Nezha remarked candidly. At this pace, how will we break through? Wait, Nezha, why are you still fixated on breaking through the examination hall? Wen Miao widened her eyes in disbelief. Is this too slow? What alternative do you suggest? I sense a surge of divine power to the west. Its strength is tolerable. You should eliminate them. Nezha instructed. With my merging heaven silk and fire-tipped spear in your hands, even as mere specters, you will have no trouble. Wen Miao turned her gaze toward the direction Nezha indicated. That area led to the Sea of Flame Evil, the most central zone of the examination hall, where the malevolent entities were at their strongest and most densely clustered. Naturally, it was also where the most points could be earned. Clutching the fire-tipped spear tightly, excitement flushed her cheeks as she nodded vigorously. All right, I'm going to take Nezha and make a grand entrance. In the monitoring room, The colossal score leaderboard was updating at a frenzied pace. Wen Miao, initially languishing in last place, was surging upward with astonishing speed. 600th, 322nd, 51st. The leaderboard updated so rapidly that, within moments, Wen Miao had catapulted into the top 50. Witnessing this spectacle, the 20 invigilators exchanged incredulous glances and exclaimed in unison, "How is this possible?" They were acutely aware of who Wen Miao was. She was the least accomplished student at the Federal Theological Academy, having spent a year there without awakening even a low-tier deity, a waste of her impressive mental prowess. When the others spoke of her, they did so with derision, hardly taking her seriously. Such a failure had been slated for expulsion this semester. Yet now, Wen Miao had intruded upon their attention in an astonishing manner. She had climbed to the 30th position. This was madness. One teacher, stunned, mumbled to himself. In the blink of an eye, Wen Miao had risen by 20 ranks. How absurd. Even Su Nen had never exhibited such outrageousness. Who was she? Jiang Lin's pupils constricted as he gazed incredulously at the lively red cloud on the surveillance screen. In stark contrast to the other examinees who were laboring exhaustively to eliminate the malevolent beings, Wen Miao appeared not to be struggling through an arduous exam, but rather seemed to be enjoying a leisurely excursion. "It's her, the commander," Jiang Yu exclaimed, nearly leaping from his seat, shouting, "She is the one I mentioned earlier. The one who killed the mutated evil creature in Jade City." Mutated evil creature? Jiang Lin paused, his curiosity piqued. "What is the name of this examinee?" "Wen Miao?" Jiang Yu's voice coincided with that of the chief examiner. However, the former was filled with excitement, while the latter's was rigid. At that moment, the chief examiner's expression darkened. Su Nan was his student. If Jiang Lin took an interest in Su Nan, it would not only enhance his own reputation, but also bring significant benefits from Su Nan's family. Should Su Nan venture into the military, the advantages would multiply. Yet, Jiang Lin clearly found the so-called failure, Wen Miao, far more intriguing. What could be done? Just then, Jiang Lin commanded, "Teacher Yi, enlarge her examination footage." The chief examiner frowned, but reluctantly complied, magnifying Wen Miao's surveillance image to a size larger than Su Nan's. Soon, those present finally discerned the peculiar manner in which Wen Miao vanquished the evil beings. The flowing red silk, the fire-breathing iron rods, and the enchanting red lotus atop her head, all exuded an air of the extraordinary. Jiang Lin squinted, inquiring, "Does anyone know which deity these artifacts belong to?" Silence enveloped the monitoring room. Everyone exchanged glances, none possessing the answer. With no response forthcoming, Jiang Lin furrowed his brow and turned to his own son. "Jiang Yu, which deity has Wen Miao awakened?" Before Jiang Yu could respond, the chief examiner handed Wen Miao's registration form to Jiang Lin, simultaneously replying, "Commander, Wen Miao has awakened a wild deity known as Nezha." Nezha? Such an unfamiliar name, Jiang Lin mused, taking the registration form. Were the words "Three Altars of the Sea, Assembly Deity," Nezha caught his eye. Jiang Lin lowered his head, pondering deeply. In his recollection, he had no knowledge of this deity. At that moment, the supervising examiner spoke again. "Wen Miao is a rather unique presence in our academy. She has not awakened a divine power even after a year of enrollment. This Nezha must be a trivial local deity she casually chose to believe in for the entrance examination." Other instructors concurred. Indeed, Wen Miao is rather reckless. These feeble gods cannot even protect themselves. To believe in them is akin to digging one's own grave. Jiang Yu, indignant, muttered, "Are you all blind? Who says Nezha is weak? His divine power is clearly superior to that of the 9 divine lords." The examiners' faces darkened with anger. How dare he accuse them of blindness? An existence not even recorded in the divine canon. What could it be but a weakling? Jiang Lin furrowed his brow and rebuked Jiang Yu. "Mind your words." He then addressed the supervising teachers. "And you, even if the other party is a wild god, they are still a deity. Do not forget the most basic respect owed to divine beings." Just then, everyone noticed Wen Miao heading towards the sinister sea on the surveillance screen. How foolish. The chief examiner could not help but chuckle. The malevolent creatures near the sinister sea are immensely powerful. Given Wen Miao's awakened divine strength, she is surely doomed. Chapter 9. Fear not, young master will protect you. With Nezha's card in hand, Wen Miao did not fear for her life. Filled with determination, she rose from the reclined position on the Hunyuan silk. As she stood, the Hunyuan silk immediately returned to its original form, tightly coiling around her arm. The other half of the Hunyuan silk, sensing Wen Miao's movement, swiftly flew back, as if fearful of being left behind. In the blink of an eye, the 2 segments of Hunyuan silk seamlessly merged into one, showing no trace of having been separated. How astute! truly worthy of being Nezha's divine artifact. Wen Miao silently admired. Draped in the Hunyuan silk and crowned with a red lotus, she leaped into the air, her body gracefully soaring towards the core of the examination grounds, the flame sinister sea. Along the way, Wen Miao effortlessly dispatched the malevolent creatures beneath her, wasting not a moment. Her score continued to rise steadily, and her ranking on the leaderboard surged impressively. The supervising teachers were left speechless, inwardly cursing. Isn't Wen Miao supposed to have awakened a wild god? Why is a weapon granted by a wild god so formidable, slaughtering malevolent creatures as easily as butchering pigs? This is absurd. However, the examinees in the testing grounds were unaware of the precise standings on the leaderboard. In their desperate bid to pass the entrance examination, everyone was tirelessly hunting malevolent creatures. The Hunyuan silk flew at remarkable speed. After approximately 10 minutes of flight, the sinister sea loomed close. The vast, scorching red ocean surged with waves, while the depths lay in eerie silence. A gust of sea breeze brushed against her face. Yet it was not humid. Instead, it carried an unsettling heat and an inexplicable sense of dread. Cloaked in the Hunyuan silk, Wen Miao remained unaffected by the sweltering environment. She gazed at the grotesque, colossal evil creature beneath her feet, feeling no fear, but rather exhilaration that made her eyes sparkle. Wen Miao drew out her magical silk and prepared for a fierce battle. At that moment, she heard a shrill female voice behind her. Look, isn't the person flying in the sky Wen Miao? The next second, the leading boy scoffed. You must be mistaken. This is the core area of the examination. That useless Wen Miao wouldn't dare to come here. Immediately, those around him began to chime in. Gu is right. I remember when Miao awakened a wild deity named Nezha. She is probably hiding in some corner, crying, huh? Let us go find her later and drive that useless girl out of the examination hall, causing her mental energy to dwindle. Great idea. I've always found her mediocre mental energy displeasing. Let us see her plummet to a lower level. The malicious laughter echoed in Wen Miao's ears. Suddenly, she halted her magical silk, turned around, and narrowed her eyes at the crowd behind her. There, she saw a sea of familiar faces, those who had bullied and insulted the original owner of her body, as well as those who had mocked Nezha and her before the examination. They were all present. How fortuitous. Wen Miao couldn't help but sneer. She had always believed in repaying grievances. Those who displeased her would not fare well either. The matter of slaying the evil creature could wait. With this thought, Wen Miao changed direction and gracefully floated before them. What were you just saying? Wen Miao suddenly appeared, smiling as she looked at the leading boy, Gu Qingying. The smile at the corners of her mouth sent chills down their spines. You plan to drive me out of the examination hall? To damage my mental state? Wen Miao surveyed the disheveled crowd who had been struggling against the evil creature, leisurely tidying her pristine clothing. You think you can do that with your lot? Huh? Gu Qingying, staring in disbelief at the impeccably composed Wen Miao, widened his eyes. He glanced skyward, realizing that the red silhouette had vanished, and finally reacted with a shocked exclamation. Wen Miao? It really was you flying up there. How could you still be alive? This is impossible. That useless Wen Miao actually dares to enter the core area. Is she courting death? A male examinee behind Gu Qingying wiped the sweat from his brow and growled. Gu, there is something strange about the red cloth on Wen Miao. She looks far too relaxed. Indeed, compared to the other examinees, who were gasping for breath and drenched in sweat, Wen Miao appeared utterly at ease. The oppressive heat of the examination hall seemed to have no effect on her. She emanated a refreshing fragrance akin to a lotus. Furthermore, she could still fly. One could only wonder what wild deity Wen Miao had awakened. Yet, that was of no concern to Gu Qingying. Although the golden hook deity he had awakened granted him absolute metallic defense, it did not allow him to fly. If he could seize that piece of red cloth, the upcoming entrance examination would undoubtedly become considerably easier. Gu Qingying's thoughts were quite straightforward. After all, it was a divine artifact bestowed by a feeble wild deity, and as the awakened one of the golden hook deity, he was confident in his ability to master it swiftly. With this in mind, Gu Qingying's gaze fell greedily upon the Hunyuan silk. Wen Miao, hand over the red cloth on you. Gu Qingying declared with a fierce smile. Otherwise, I shall expel you from the examination arena. In the examination instance, candidates would not face true death. However, if a candidate were eliminated from the arena, their mental strength would suffer severe damage, with the possibility of demotion. The agony of mental degradation was akin to a fate worse than death. Upon hearing this, Wen Miao couldn't help but laugh in anger. To disdain Nezha while attempting to snatch the Hunyuan silk? What lunacy! Was it reasonable to steal? Wen Miao thrust her fiery spear forward, and the flames of the three mysterious fires ignited fiercely. Come at me if you dare. Before Gu Qingying could react, Wen Miao's fiery spear lunged directly at his heart. Zing! How swift! Gu Qingying was taken aback and hurriedly summoned a solid golden shield to defend himself. This shield was a personal artifact of the Golden Hook deity, said to withstand all attacks in the world, renowned as the strongest defense beneath the 9 divine monarchs. Gu Qingying, imagining himself safe, broke into a triumphant smile. However, the rigid shield began to melt under the intense flames emitted from the tip of the spear. Gu Qingying's smile froze, replaced by disbelief in his eyes. Witnessing this scene, the surrounding candidates gasped in shock. How could this be? Wasn't Wen Miao awakened by a wild deity? How could a mere stick bestowed by such a deity pierce through the Golden Hook deity's personal shield? This was impossible. Gu Qingying screamed in terror. Unwilling to succumb, he reached out with his right hand, a sharp golden hook infused with divine power thrusting ominously toward Wen Miao's back. The golden hook was swift, nearly achieving its mark. Gu Qingying's face flushed with excitement, his breath quickening. Even if he were to leave the examination arena, he would take someone down with him. Yet the next moment, a torrent of crimson suddenly appeared behind Wen Miao. It was the Hunyuan silk. It surged forth, indomitable. The golden hook shattered upon contact. Simultaneously, Wen Miao's fiery spear pierced through Gu Qingying's chest. Puff! Blood erupted forth, and Gu Qingying gritted his teeth in pain. Wen Miao, you wretched girl. How dare you kill me? I shall deal with you once you emerge. With that, Gu Qingying's form dissolved into a stream of data, vanishing from sight. Gu Qingying, eliminated prematurely. Wen Miao exhaled a breath of relief, retracting her fiery spear. The candidates present exchanged bewildered glances, rendered speechless by the astonishing turn of events. Suddenly, a candidate standing behind Gu Qingying shouted, "We cannot allow this waste to stand above us. It's too humiliating. Let us avenge Brother Gu. Let us all charge together. And we shall drive her out of the examination hall." Were they planning to besiege her? Wen Miao pursed her lips. There were far too many opponents to contend with. At that moment, the lotus flower above her head stirred. With a proud tone, Nezha proclaimed, "You just go ahead and strike. I shall protect you. Fear not." Wen Miao was taken aback. Nezha's words were like an anchor in turbulent seas. Closing her eyes, a surge of fervor coursed through her veins. When she reopened her eyes, they sparkled with fiery determination, and a red lotus subtly emerged behind her. Indeed, what did it matter how numerous her adversaries were? Her backing was the divine Nezha of Huaxia. What was there to fear? Come at me. Chapter 10. Nezha's true fire of Samadhi, then I shall carve a path through here. A wave of fierce resolve surged within Wen Miao, and she grasped her fire spear tightly, no longer hesitating. Hearing her words, Nezha above burst into hearty laughter, embodying the carefree exuberance of youth. "Ha, splendid. Let these would-be thieves of my magic silk see our might." With a smile gracing her lips, Wen Miao leaped into action. Thanks to the support of the magic silk, her graceful form lingered momentarily in midair before she plunged into the crowd. The spear's tip unleashed the true fire of Samadhi, ready to strike. Without a second thought, Wen Miao thrust the fire spear towards the leading provocateurs among the candidates. In the next instant, a scorching wind rushed forth. Left jab, right thrust, aimed directly at their vitals. The true fire of Samadhi erupted from the spear, sending nearby candidates fleeing in panic. "Ah, what kind of fire is this? It's too sinister. Chiyu, aren't you the awakened one of the water goddess powers? Quickly, douse it with water." Humph. A mere flame from a wild god can be extinguished with ease. Among the crowd, a candidate named Chiyu raised his hand arrogantly, conjuring a majestic water dragon in an attempt to extinguish the true fire. Watch closely. The onlookers held their breath, eagerly anticipating Chiyu's triumph, envisioning Wen Miao's demise beneath his water dragon. Yet, what followed was a spectacle beyond belief. The imposing water dragon was instantly evaporated by a mere palm-sized flame of true fire, steam rising in its wake. An eerie silence enveloped the arena for 2 seconds. What the hell? How could this happen? Wen Miao even heard the sound of teeth chattering in disbelief. Impossible. My conjured water dragon cannot be extinguished by the trivial flames of an unknown wild god. Chiyu's eyes widened, his voice cracking in disbelief. This must be an illusion. Do not believe it. How could Wen Miao possibly become so powerful overnight? Mundane fire? Ignorance. This is the true fire of Samadhi. Wen Miao scoffed. The fire spear engulfed in roaring flames, propelling Chiyu straight out of the examination hall. Meanwhile, a group of candidates, seizing the opportunity while Wen Miao was unawares, attempted a surprise attack from behind. However, the Hunyuan silk protected Wen Miao with unwavering resolve. The clash of divine powers against the Hunyuan silk resonated with a thunderous sound. The divine energies and artifacts unleashed by the candidates were all thwarted by the Hunyuan silk, leaving Wen Miao unscathed. At this moment, many gazes shifted towards the Hunyuan silk. Their expressions transformed. It was evident to any observer that, in comparison to Gu Qingying's golden light shield, this large crimson cloth was indeed the epitome of defense. Wen Miao flexed her wrist, turned around, and with a beaming smile addressed the assailants. "Do not rush, it will soon be your turn." Upon hearing her words, the attackers felt their legs weaken, nearly collapsing to the ground, a chill creeping up their spines. Wen Miao had truly grown stronger, armed with the fire spear for offense and the Hunyuan silk for defense. Not to mention the backing of the three altars meeting deity above her. She fought with unburdened ease, and the candidates present were being driven back relentlessly. In the blink of an eye, of the 32 assailants, only 8 remained standing against Wen Miao. All her actions were captured on the surveillance screens, and the examination room fell into an eerie silence. The scores of the candidates expelled from the arena by Wen Miao were promptly transferred to her account, and her ranking continued to rise, subtly hinting at a potential entry into the top 10. In that moment, the only sound filling the room was the frantic updating of the leaderboard, echoing with relentless beeps. Each sound seemed to mock the chief examiner, striking at his face with each chime. Just moments ago, he had believed that Wen Miao would surely perish at Gu Qingying's hands. Yet, in the next instant, she had banished Gu Qingying from the examination grounds, and now she was dismantling Gu Qingying's companions one by one. Was there truly no one among so many candidates capable of subduing her? Just days prior, Wen Miao had been nothing more than a laggard, unable to awaken her divine powers. The chief examiner's breath quickened, his bloodshot eyes fixated on Wen Miao. He was not alone. Other invigilators were equally transfixed by the spectacle of the young girl on the screen, rendered speechless with astonishment. Armed solely with an iron-tipped spear and a tattered red cloth, she had routed over 30 candidates with ease. It was utterly absurd. In the examination room, the only one who could contain his excitement was Jiang Yu, who, unable to restrain himself, exclaimed, "Incredible! I knew Wen Miao's awakening would be extraordinarily powerful." As he spoke, Jiang Yu pulled out his holographic device to record the scene in its entirety. Jiang Lin, however, was too preoccupied to pay him any heed. He approached the monitoring screen, his expression grave, tightly gripping Wen Miao's registration form, his emotions a tumultuous whirlwind. Nezha was it? Only one remained. Wen Miao gasped for breath, her weight mostly supported by the Hunyuan silk. There was no other way, even with the formidable fire-tipped spear and the heavenly silk at her disposal. Her physical constitution was lamentably weak. Otherwise, she would have navigated the situation with far greater ease. The final candidate, once brimming with arrogance, now appeared utterly disheveled, beads of sweat clinging to his forehead. He knelt on the ground, his voice trembling as he pleaded, "Wen Miao, I implore you, do not take my life. I do not wish to be eliminated." Wen Miao merely curled her lips in a faint smile, remaining unmoved. Just moments ago, he had ruthlessly dispatched others to their doom. Now, faced with defeat, he sought to concede? She was no saint. How could she possibly relent due to a mere, insipid apology? Thus, with a cheerful demeanor, she replied, "It is too late." The heavenly silk, coiling around Wen Miao, suddenly straightened, resembling a crimson whip, and swiftly struck toward the last candidate. A flash of malevolence flickered in the candidate's eyes, and his body transformed into a cascade of fragmented data, vacating the examination hall with remarkable speed. It appeared that with sufficient velocity, even the softest of red cloth could unleash a formidable assault. The heavenly silk returned to her side, swirling playfully around Wen Miao, regaining its former agility and grace, exuding an ethereal aura. Wen Miao relaxed her breath, smiling as she praised, "The heavenly silk is truly impressive. It is indeed worthy of being the beloved weapon of the great Nezha." The heavenly silk, elated by her words, coiled into a ball, circling around the red lotus atop Wen Miao's head, seemingly awaiting her commendation. The red lotus above emitted a soft hum. "It's just passable, the fire-tip spear is too." With that, the heavenly silk nestled affectionately against Nezha, while even the fire-tip spear in Wen Miao's hand trembled with delight. "And you," Nezha said, his tone lifting. "Wen Miao, you have not tarnished my reputation." Wen Miao couldn't help but find his awkwardness amusing. Just then, a cacophony of fierce combat erupted in the distance. As the ground trembled, the sea parted slowly, a formidable force gradually expanding. The malevolent entities within the examination hall quivered, emitting excited roars as if to herald the arrival of a great figure. What was happening? Wen Miao's breath caught in her throat as she beheld a black-red infernal bird soaring from the depths of the ocean. "Caw!" In the monitoring room, Jiang Lin leaped to his feet, exclaiming in shock, "How has it awakened?" Chapter 11. The Black Phoenix. Crisis approaches. Jiang Lin, his expression stern, turned to question, "Teacher Yi, why is there a level-rated malevolent entity appearing at a grading examination?" The chief examiner, Yi Changfeng, was drenched in cold sweat. Defeated, Jiang Lin pressed him. "He is asking whom?" Although he harbored disdain for Wen Miao, believing her incompetence brought shame to the Federal Divine Academy and wishing for her withdrawal, he would never resort to foul play during the examination. Yi Changfeng nervously wiped the cold sweat from his brow and explained, "It must be a malfunction in the Academy's internal star network system." Jiang Lin's eyes gleamed with disappointment as he fixed his gaze on Yi Changfeng. "As the chief examiner, did you not conduct a risk assessment of the examination venue prior to the entrance tests?" Yi Changfeng's eyes flickered, and he opened his mouth, rendered speechless. Such an unforeseen incident had a probability of less than 1 in 10,000. The seminary had not encountered any issues in the past decade. Who could have anticipated that this year would be different? "Immediately suspend the examination," Jiang Lin commanded with a grave expression. "Yes." Yi Changfeng, not daring to delay, hurriedly activated the backup procedure. After a series of operations, he realized that the safety evacuation passage remained closed. Flustered, he exclaimed, "The passage won't open. The examination venue is sealed." Jiang Lin's pupils contracted. "What did you say?" Yi Changfeng stared at the surveillance footage of the Black Phoenix and, with trepidation, swallowed hard. The star network system indicates that it is the Black Phoenix that has sealed the examination venue. It seems to have awakened a form of autonomous consciousness. Autonomous consciousness. A sense of absurdity washed over Jiang Lin as his heart lurched. This meant that the group of still immature examinees were not merely facing a series of data points, but a genuine class of malevolent entity. With such a vast disparity, how could they possibly contend with it? In the next moment, a tall figure suddenly appeared on the surveillance screen. It was a slender, white-haired youth, exuding elegance and grace. While the other examinees fled in panic, he stood resolute, confronting the challenge head-on. Soon appeared calm, enveloped in a layer of crimson-orange flames. Opposite him was the formidable Black Phoenix. "It's Su Nan." Yi Changfeng's expression brightened with excitement. "He has awakened the divine power of the fire cloud deity. He might be able to vanquish this malevolent entity." Jiang Lin's expression was nuanced as he paused, quietly observing the white-haired youth on the screen. This examinee, Su Nan, indeed possessed the greatest potential to defeat the malevolent entity in the examination venue. Perhaps it would be beneficial to let him try? If it truly came to a dire situation, he could intervene then. After all, the Federation was in dire need of talent. In the examination venue, Su Nan stood beside the sea of malevolence, and from the corner of his eye, he inadvertently caught sight of Wen Miao. He discreetly scrutinized her. The young girl before him had a delicate red lotus atop her head, draped in a long red cloth, and wielded an ancient fire-spitting iron rod. All were rather ordinary artifacts. It appeared that her awakened divine power was somewhat weak. She was a girl in need of protection. Unaware of Wen Miao's remarkable record of defeating 32 opponents single-handedly, Su Nan smiled slightly and said to her, "Miss, please step aside. This area is perilous, and my flames may inadvertently harm you." "Ah." The young man displays a certain politeness. Wen Miao blinks her eyes and obediently steps aside. Just then, having eliminated an excessive number of candidates, she finds herself in need of a brief respite. Seeking solace in a shaded area, she gently massages her sore wrists and settles comfortably onto a chaise lounge draped in mixed celestial silk. In a considerate gesture, the silk unfurls a piece of red fabric to fan Wen Miao and the red lotus perched above her head, alleviating her discomfort. Su Nan, observing this scene, feels a twitch at the corner of his mouth. Is it merely his illusion? Or does it seem as though this individual has come to the examination hall merely to spectate? Shaking his head to dismiss such absurd notions, he turns around, and a searing flame suddenly ignites in his palm. In the blink of an eye, that flame transforms into a multitude of fist-sized fireballs, uniformly suspended in midair. Each fireball pulsates with the formidable power of the fire deity, exuding an aura as potent as that of a divine being. Wen Miao gazes in astonishment, her eyes widening. This young man possesses remarkable strength. Even the Black Phoenix emits a series of anxious cries. Unfazed, Su Nan lifts his hand, and a barrage of fireballs hurtles towards the Black Phoenix soaring above. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The Black Phoenix, circling in the sky, flaps its wings in retaliation. Most of the fireballs are deflected far away, but the sheer density of Su Nan's assault renders it unavoidable for the Black Phoenix's large form to escape unscathed, resulting in a direct hit to its abdomen. The power of the 9 divine sovereigns is not to be underestimated. Instantly, dark crimson blood seeps from the Black Phoenix's abdomen, staining the ground and corrupting the earth beneath. A smirk plays at Su Nan's lips as he presses the advantage. One fireball splits into 2, relentlessly bombarding the injured area of the Black Phoenix's belly. A quantitative change begets a qualitative transformation. Had the Black Phoenix not awakened its autonomous consciousness, victory would have inevitably belonged to Su Nan. Alas, there are no what-ifs. With a piercing cry, the Black Phoenix is thoroughly incensed. It suddenly tilts its head back and lets out a majestic howl, forcefully flicking its opulent black tail feathers. In an instant, all the malevolent entities within the examination hall are summoned, transforming into luminous specks that surge into the Black Phoenix's form. Its size expands, casting a shadow that obscures the sky above Su Nan, instilling a sense of dread. Most crucially, its power escalates from a mere rank to an extraordinary level. Su Nan's expression shifts dramatically. Something is amiss. Under the oppressive weight of the situation, he struggles to rise, enveloped in an orange divine energy. No, he cannot concede. This malevolent creature is of a high caliber, and slaying it would yield substantial points. Drawing a deep breath, he concentrates the flames around him into a colossal net of divine fire, intending to ensnare the Black Phoenix. However, the disparity in strength is insurmountable. The Black Phoenix opens its gaping maw, unleashing a formidable suction that voraciously consumes the divine fire net. All of his divine energy is devoured. Damn it! Su Nan exerts every ounce of strength to resist, tears of blood welling at the corners of his eyes. How has this malevolent entity suddenly become so powerful? With a tremor coursing through his body, Su Nan faltered as his divine power was drawn into the mouth of the Black Phoenix. He bellowed in the direction of Wen Miao. What are you waiting for? Flee at once. This abominable creature is dangerous. No sooner had he spoken than he was swept into the air, on the verge of being devoured by the Black Phoenix. The ensuing suction created a tempest, wildly surging toward Wen Miao. Wen Miao was taken aback. Wait, why am I getting involved while merely spectating? Infuriated, she glared at the foul bird above her. Do you think me an easy target? In her wrath, she called out to the crimson lotus overhead. Great Lord Nezha, you promised to protect me. Does that still hold true? Recognizing the formidable power of this wicked beast, Wen Miao understood her limitations. She would not recklessly challenge it and seek her demise. Nezha scoffed. Of course my word stands. It's merely a foul bird. Watch and see. Such confidence bolstered Wen Miao's resolve as she discreetly pressed the assist button on her system interface. Nezha, summoned successfully. Chapter 12. Incense offering and pathfinding, only slaughter. No salvation. The crimson lotus above Wen Miao erupted with radiant brilliance. In an instant, the lotus blossomed. Before its figure was seen, a captivating fragrance wafted through the air, a rich and chilling scent of lotus gradually dispersing. The vibrant red saturated the sky. All present beheld a stunning youth clad in red emerge from the lotus, exuding an aura of lethal intent. The howling winds unleashed by the Black Phoenix roared incessantly, devouring everything in their path. Soon, the tempest approached Wen Miao's vicinity. Unfazed, Nezha stepped forward, firmly positioning himself before her. In stark contrast to the overwhelming gale, Nezha's slender form appeared almost fragile, like a delicate boat destined to be engulfed by towering waves. Danger! Instinctively, Su Nan warned, but Nezha appeared undeterred, calmly extending his right hand. The wind ceased. The tempest was held in check by his command. Su Nan fell to the ground. Incredulity etched on his face as the elegance he typically bore cracked ever so slightly. Time seemed to stand still. Nezha, arms crossed, delicately held a red lotus between his fingers, draped in celestial silks, his fiery spear poised at his chest. The lotus adorning his brow was both resplendent and fierce, radiating an alluring yet menacing beauty. For those under my protection, let anyone dare to move. With a mere glance, he exuded an aura of slaughter. The great deity of the 3 altars has descended. Su Nan stood frozen, his expression blank. Which divine being is this? Such audacity. Meanwhile, Wen Miao's eyes sparkled as she gazed at Nezha's silhouette, her mind consumed with a singular thought. So handsome. I've chosen the right ally. Outside the simulated examination hall, the invigilators, including Jiang Lin and Yi Changfeng, were utterly astonished by Nezha's commanding presence. With a mere gesture, he tamed the wicked winds. What immense divine power! What is the identity of that youth who delicately holds the lotus? Suddenly, Jiang Yu let out a sharp cry. Her handsome face flushed with excitement as she tugged at Jiang Lin's sleeve, exclaiming, Commander, he has appeared. The deity known as Nezha has returned. What? He is Nezha? Jiang Lin's eyes widened, and a profound astonishment swept over him as he scrutinized the figure. If he was not mistaken, that was indeed the true form of a deity. How could Wen Miao summon the authentic presence of a divine being? Impossible. Yi Changfeng wore an expression of disbelief. How could Wen Miao, deemed a failure, possibly invoke the manifestation of a god? It is crucial to note that even the most insignificant wild deities are not entities that mere mortals can summon at will. Even a genius like Su Nan, at this stage, could only harness the divine power of the fire cloud deity. It is absolutely inconceivable that the true fire cloud deity could be summoned to the interstellar realm. Indeed, it must be a deception, Yi Changfeng murmured to himself, reluctant to accept this reality. After all, how could Wen Miao have become so formidable overnight? Why is that impossible? Zhang Yu countered. Wen Miao's mental prowess is of an exceedingly rare level across the entire star realm. She is far from being a failure. Yi Changfeng's expression darkened momentarily. He opened his mouth, but found himself at a loss for words. Zhang Yu was indeed correct. Although Wen Miao had been incapacitated for a year, her level of mental strength was undeniably extraordinary. Otherwise, the Federal Divine Academy would not have made an exception to enroll her. Wait, Yi Changfeng pondered, furrowing his brow. Even if the true form of a deity has arrived, what does it matter? I recall that Wen Miao awakened the wild deity, an insidious entity that even Su Nan cannot defeat. How could a wild deity, unrecognized by the divine codex, achieve such feats? I dare say that the Nezha they speak of could easily be devoured by the Black Phoenix. Jiang Yu pouted and whispered, that may not be the case. Meanwhile, Jiang Lin remained silent, his entire focus fixated on Nezha. At that moment, the invigilators in the examination room noticed that Nezha had begun to move, and they instinctively quieted down. Caw! The Black Phoenix let out a piercing cry. In the next instant, the crimson sea of malevolence in the examination hall was swept up by its formidable power. To the astonishment of all, the crimson waters bizarrely transformed into seething magma. The molten rock loomed overhead, causing the temperature in the examination hall to soar alarmingly. It was unbearably hot, without the protective veil of the Mengshenling. Wen Miao's complexion flushed crimson as beads of sweat cascaded down her forehead. Even someone like Su Nan, who had awakened the powers of a fire deity, found it challenging to endure. As the crimson waters entirely morphed into magma, the phoenix suddenly flapped its wings, forcefully directing the torrent of molten rock towards Nezha. The air warped in the wake of the flowing magma. The Black Phoenix's eyes glimmered with fierce intent as it glared menacingly at Nezha. Caw! Rebel, perish! This is dire. Su Nan stood up from the ground, gazing at the inferno that engulfed the sky above. The expanse of flames was so vast that there was no avenue of escape. It seemed inevitable that death awaited him. As the crisis loomed, Nezha did not even flinch. Stretching leisurely, he casually tossed the red lotus to Wen Miao. Knowing time was of the essence, and he intended to resolve matters swiftly. Wen Miao cradled the red lotus, feeling a refreshing chill envelop her as a fragrant scent wafted towards her. It was sweet and cool, a delightful sensation. She squinted her eyes, instinctively clutching the lotus, her personal air conditioner. Unbeknownst to her, Nezha's composure faltered imperceptibly. Wen Miao, do not hold it so tightly. He gritted his teeth, his voice laced with an unusual irritation. With that, the magical silk around his waist began to extend infinitely, dispelling the surrounding flames. The impressive inferno began to recede. The youth, clad in crimson, stepped upon the fiery lotus. Even without his wind fire wheels, he moved with astonishing speed, standing atop the towering waves of fire in the blink of an eye. Nezha kicked the fiery spear, using the force to grasp its handle, aiming at the distant Black Phoenix and launching it like a javelin. Whoosh! The fiery spear soared through the sky, slicing through the flames with breathtaking velocity, piercing the Black Phoenix's neck. With a piercing cry, the Black Phoenix was pinned against the mountainside by the spear, unable to move. Moments later, its corrosive blood trickled to the ground. In a flash, Nezha leapt onto the phoenix's head. The magical silk adeptly coiled around the phoenix's neck, facilitating his capture. With his left hand tightening around the bird's head, Nezha summoned a flicker of crimson flame from his palm, mocking, "Foolish creature, did you think you could burn those under my protection? I shall incinerate you first." Upon uttering this, the Samadhi true fire, resplendent like gilded gold, instantly ignited the phoenix's body. The flames crackled and roared. The Black Phoenix struggled desperately, yet it could not escape the bindings of the magical silk. In the blink of an eye, its feathers were reduced to ashes, leaving it resembling a plucked chicken, utterly disheveled, its earlier grandeur now a distant memory. As the fire intensified, the Black Phoenix let out a mournful cry, succumbing entirely to the Samadhi true fire. One spear thrust, and the crisis was averted. Nezha jumped down from the creature, holding the formidable demon by a single hand, and turned to Wen Miao. Hey, would you care for some roasted phoenix meat? Wen Miao replied, the god of war from the heavenly court truly lives up to his reputation. Chapter 13. An overwhelming victory. Observing the scorched, featherless creature, Wen Miao could not help but twitch at the corners of her mouth. Goodness! Could anything still be consumed after being charred by the Samadhi true fire? Without hesitation, she declined. No, thank you. Even if it is offered by the great Nezha, I cannot partake. Nezha nonchalantly shrugged, discarding the vile creature as one might toss away refuse, brushing his hands off in disdain. Indeed, this avian was rather unsightly. It was entirely normal to lack appetite. Meanwhile, in the examination hall, Su Nan and the proctors were left utterly astonished, their expressions blank with confusion. Was it possible that their hearing had faltered? Did someone truly dare to consume such a vile being, and to find it unappealing? However, Zhang Yu's focus lay elsewhere. His eyes sparkled with fervor, fists clenched, his voice trembling with excitement. Incredible. That vile creature can be dispatched in a single blow. This ignited a desire within him to revere Nezha. As he gazed at the iron rod in Nezha's hand, a flicker of doubt crossed Jiang Lin's eyes. Thump, thump. His heart raced wildly, shaken by the sheer force Nezha had unleashed. Such arrogance, such power. This was no mere lowly wild deity. This was undeniably a superlative deity worthy of being inscribed on the first page of the divine canon. Jiang Lin couldn't help but ponder when such an existence had emerged in the interstellar realm. Yi Changfeng was not faring much better. He had anticipated that the feeble wild deity would be devoured whole by the vile creature, yet it had instead shot the vile beast dead with a single shot. Reflecting on his earlier fervent assertions, a look of embarrassment painted his somewhat acerbic face, alternating between crimson and pale, truly a spectacle to behold. Jiang Yu beamed as if he had triumphed, taunting Yi Changfeng. What Su Nin cannot achieve does not imply that others cannot. So, what say you now, teacher Yi? Are you convinced? Yi Changfeng's face flushed deeply, leaving him speechless, and the other teachers found themselves in a similar predicament. Their gazes were riveted on the breathtaking figure of the Red Lotus youth in the surveillance footage, their astonishment lingering long after the event. Enough, Jiang Lin said, folding Wen Miao's registration form into a neat square and solemnly placing it in his pocket. This examination has concluded, teacher Yi. Remember to announce the rankings fairly. He shot a meaningful glance at Yi Changfeng before exiting the proctoring room. Jiang Yu, sensing the moment to withdraw, saved the footage into his light brain with a sense of possession, then departed without a backward glance. Ranking results? Yi Changfeng exclaimed, abruptly looking up at the scoreboard. There. Wen Miao's name gleamed prominently above Su Nan's, blindingly bright. First place, Wen Miao? The subsequent score displayed an astonishing 129. Instantly, the proctoring room was filled with gasps of disbelief. 1,000,000 points. This was the highest score ever recorded in the interstellar examination. Gulping, Yi Changfeng swallowed hard, scarcely able to believe his eyes. It was worth noting that Su Nan, in second place, had only 41 points, barely half of Wen Miao's score. The disparity between the two scores was beyond comparison, as vast as the heavens and the earth. If not witnessed firsthand, who would dare to believe this reality? All the invigilators exchanged glances, and an unspoken thought arose in their minds. The heavens of the Federal Theological Seminary are about to change. Upon the demise of the vile entity, a semi-transparent screen appeared before Wen Miao. Wen Miao's points, 100. 1 hour has expired. The examination time is now in countdown. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. The entrance examination has concluded, and the points earned by candidate Wen Miao are being tallied. System is calculating. Please hold on. Beep. Calculation complete. Candidate Wen Miao has earned a total of 129 points in this examination. Congratulations, candidate Wen Miao, on passing the entrance examination. Friendly reminder. Related examination rankings will be published on the Federal Theological Seminary's official website. Candidates may check their rankings independently. Should there be any disputes regarding the examination results, the Federal Theological Seminary welcomes all reports. The passageway to exit the examination room has been opened. Candidates may leave in an orderly fashion. Phew, the examination has finally concluded. Wen Miao let out a sigh of relief, unaware of the shock her 1,000,000 points had caused in the invigilator's room. The assistance time of the Chinese deity Nezha has ended. Simultaneously, Nezha sensed a pull, as if being beckoned back to the heavenly realm. He had no intention of returning. With a gentle hum, Nezha leaped into the crimson lotus without hesitation. Immediately, Wen Miao felt a violent sensation of descent at her back. It was somewhat uncomfortable. She clutched the lotus tightly, her eyes firmly shut, surrendering to the fall. In a moment of dazed clarity, Wen Miao suddenly felt the lotus in her embrace stir. In the next instant, a chill fragrance enveloped her body, alleviating all discomfort. Wen Miao couldn't help but open her eyes and look down at the lotus. Was that sensation the divine power of Nezha? With a slight pressure of her fingers, Wen Miao found the answer in her heart, smiling gently as she held the lotus even closer, fearful of harming the delicate flower. Candidate Wen Miao has exited the examination room. As the system announced, Wen Miao found herself in a resplendent waiting room. Countless golden data points whirled through the dome before converging into the four walls, shimmering brightly. Without lingering, she swiftly activated the assessment capsule and departed with the lotus in her arms. On her way, Wen Miao retrieved a mental energy restorative from her spatial pouch, drinking it while hastening back to her dormitory. Fortunately, the dormitory was not far from the waiting room. Wen Miao pushed open the door to her dormitory, threw herself onto the bed, and closed her eyes, breathing heavily to calm her breath. After the examination, her mental energy was still abundant. However, her body felt weak and fatigued. Even raising her arms was strenuous. Alas, her constitution remained too frail. With a sigh, Wen Miao persevered through her discomfort and carefully placed Nezha into a clean, clear bowl of water. Great deity Nezha, I shall rest for a moment and express my gratitude upon awakening. With that, Wen Miao drifted into a deep slumber. After a while, Nezha emerged from the red lotus, his gaze lingering momentarily on Wen Miao's face. Gratitude? He deemed it unnecessary. Nezha stood silently by the bedside, gently leaning forward, his calloused fingers delicately prodding Wen Miao's cheek. It flushed crimson. Nezha furrowed his brow. He had exerted no force. The touch had been exceedingly light. How could there exist such fragile beings in this world? Turning his head, Nezha cast a glance at the radiant red lotus, carefully protected by Wen Miao. After observing it quietly for a while, Nezha's form slowly dissipated. This time, he was not departing to the red lotus, but to the heavenly court. As one in a position of responsibility, he must fulfill his duties. Though reluctant, it was time to return to his post. A night passed. The following morning, the first thing Wen Miao did upon waking was to express her gratitude to the red lotus on the table. After her reverence, she noticed that Nezha seemed to be absent from the flower. Nezha, a great deity? There was no response. Since Nezha was not present, he must have returned to the heavenly court. As this thought crossed her mind, an urgent ringing emanated from the light brain resting beside her pillow. It was a call from Jiangyu. With curiosity, Wen Miao answered the phone, only to hear Jiangyu's enthusiastic voice on the other end. Wen Miao, you must check the StarNet. The rankings for this year's entrance examination have been announced. You are in first place. Chapter 14. Is Nezha too powerful? Or is it my fault? What? Wen Miao was momentarily taken aback. She had anticipated a high ranking for herself, especially since the Black Phoenix had granted her a score of 100 points. However, she never imagined she would claim the top position. Hastily, she accessed the StarNet, clicking on the official website of the Federal Divine Academy to view the rankings. After the examination concluded yesterday, the Federal Divine Academy had worked through the night to release the rankings. Holding her breath, Wen Miao saw the leaderboard boldly displaying. First place, Wen Miao, total points, 129. Second place, Su Nan, total points, 41. Third place, Shan Haiyan, total points, 36. 129. Wen Miao gasped in disbelief, hardly able to trust her eyes. Her score surpassed that of the second-place contestant by over 80 points, signifying an astonishing lead. Good heavens, was it truly this exhilarating? After a brief moment of shock, a wave of overwhelming joy surged within her. This is incredible. Wen Miao joyfully sprang from her bed, her fatigue vanishing in an instant. As she excitedly paced around her dormitory, Nezha, the great deity, was indeed formidable. He refrained from intervening until the moment was right, and when he did, it was an overwhelming triumph. With a beaming face, she caught sight of the shimmering red lotus on her table and hurriedly bowed once more in gratitude. Thank you, Nezha. Thank you, divine beings of Huaxia. The call had not yet ended when Jiangyu's voice reached her ears again. Wen Miao, you are amazing. You actually summoned the deity's true form during the examination. The Black Phoenix was, in fact, a formidable malevolent entity. Yet it was effortlessly vanquished by the divine being you summoned. You cannot imagine the expressions on the faces of the invigilators in the examination room upon witnessing such a spectacle. Their eyes nearly bulged out in astonishment. It was utterly hilarious. Fortunately, I recorded the entire event. Would you care to see it? No, thank you. When Miao's eyelid twitched, she was not that bored. However, even through the screen, she could still sense Jiangyu's excitement. Wait, Did you just mention a formidable malevolent entity? Wen Miao was taken aback and inquired. How could a formidable malevolent entity appear in the examination hall? Jiang Yu succinctly explained the events that transpired outside the examination hall and reassured her, rest assured. The chief examiner responsible for this entrance examination has been suspended and is under investigation by the Federation. Such an incident will never occur again. Wen Miao's expression shifted subtly. No wonder that Black Phoenix was valued at 100 points. It was indeed formidable. After Jiang Yu had his fill of laughter, he turned to more serious matters. By the way, Wen Miao, I have reported to the military regarding your recent summoning of a deity to eliminate a mutated malevolent entity. In gratitude for your timely intervention in saving Jade City, the military intends to award you 25 star coins as a bonus, along with a Federation banner. Please send me your card number, and I will transfer the funds to you. As for the banner, I will personally deliver it to you in a couple of days. Wen Miao exclaimed, 25 star coins. Is such a delightful surprise even possible? Her eyes sparkled, and she suddenly felt invigorated. Just a moment, let me find my card. After hanging up the phone, Wen Miao rummaged through her spatial pocket. Found it. Glee radiated from her as she sent her card number to Jiang Yu. A moment later, she received a notification of the transfer. The 25 star coins had arrived. The military certainly handled this transaction promptly. With 25 star coins in her account, Wen Miao felt a touch of wealth and her mood lifted considerably. After reveling in her newfound fortune, she transferred 15 star coins to Wen Shi, keeping only 10 for herself. Upon receiving the funds, Wen Shi quickly called Wen Miao, his voice filled with concern. Miao Miao, where did you acquire such a sum? From the military, Wen Miao replied with a sly smile. This is the bonus for eliminating the mutated malevolent entity, a full 25 star coins. Brother, please use this money to purchase some supplements and make time to visit the hospital for a checkup. You have worked hard over the years. Our good days are just around the corner. On the other end of the communicator, Wen Shi remained silent for a long while. When he spoke again, his voice was somewhat hoarse. Thank you, Miao Miao, but I do not need so much money. Slaying malevolent entities is quite taxing on one's mental energy. You surely require many mental energy recovery potions. Do not worry about me. Take care of yourself and do not let me fret, understood? Wen Miao's heart softened, and she nodded obediently. Understood, brother. Though she said otherwise, she would continue to send money home. After a brief conversation, the siblings ended the call. Once the transfer to Wenxi was complete, Wen Miao eagerly embraced her holographic device to browse the starnet. At that moment, a trending topic regarding the entrance examination abruptly surfaced, creating a tremendous stir throughout the Federation. Shocking. A particular entrance examination yielded an astounding 1 million points. Upon seeing this headline, Wen Miao's brows arched in surprise. 1 million points? Was this not a reference to her? With a swift motion of her fingers, she clicked on the trending topic. Before her eyes appeared a screenshot of the entrance examination leaderboard, where her name was distinctly circled, standing out prominently. Accompanying the screenshot was a caption. In what was supposed to be a mundane examination, the Federal Divine Academy's bottom-ranked student amassed over 1 million points. Who would believe there was no foul play? The timestamp indicated it had been posted the previous night, presumably by a student from the academy. In just one night, the trending topic had garnered over 1 million comments and shares, and the numbers continued to rise. Wow. In a level entrance examination, the maximum value for a wicked entity should only be 100 points. How could someone possibly score over 1 million points in 1 hour? Have they never taken the exam? I concur with the previous comment. I suspect she tampered with the system data. Actually, the second-place contestant is quite impressive, to my knowledge. His score is the highest since the Academy's inception. This Wen Miao is utterly foolish. Even if she cheated, couldn't she be a bit more discreet? The total points of the top 5 combined do not even match hers. Anyone with eyes can see there is something amiss. For those unfamiliar with Wen Miao, let me enlighten you. She is notoriously known as the Academy's failure, having gone an entire year without awakening divine powers. When she finally did, she awakened as a wild deity named Nezha. Who is Nezha? I've never heard of him. Unbelievable. So she is just a wild deity from a remote place. This is utterly ridiculous. I have reported this. I hope the Federal Divine Academy makes a fair judgment and does not allow this cheater to go unpunished. Upon reading this, Wen Miao felt a surge of frustration. Who claimed she had cheated? Was it her fault that Nezha was extraordinarily strong? Why could these people not consider that others might simply be lacking in strength? Amused yet exasperated, she began typing fervently. Wen Miao, I did not cheat. During the examination, a level wicked entity appeared unexpectedly, and I earned the 1 million points after summoning my deity to vanquish it. As the subject of the comments, the onlookers became even more incensed. Oh, the main character has arrived. At least craft a believable lie. How could a level examination possibly feature a level wicked entity? Come on, even if that were true, a wild deity could never defeat a level wicked entity. This is common knowledge in the stars. This comment received hundreds of thousands of likes. Wen Miao, common knowledge my foot. A bunch of ignorant fools. It has come to my attention that there are 32 candidates at the bottom of the leaderboard with a score of 0. Among them is a candidate named Gu Qingying, who has awakened the deity known as the Golden Hook God, reputed to be the strongest defense beneath the 9 great deities. How can such an extraordinary individual have a score of 0? I refuse to believe it. There must be some hidden agenda. Wen Miao, please speak up. As the uproar on StarNet escalated, Jiang Yu made another phone call. Wen Miao, have you seen the trending topics on StarNet? The military intends to release your examination footage to vindicate you. Do you have any objections?